All right, everybody. Welcome back to Movie Talks and Chill. We're your hosts. I am Tony Serrato.
I am Gavin Butts.
I am Patrick Wall.
And we're a little somber because we're going to be discussing something sad. Something that happened last week. Another R.I.P. You know, 2025 just needs to slow down on the death of people.
Yeah.
Especially, well, I'm not saying that anybody's life is more valuable than anybody else, so let me make sure I'm clear about this. However, we lost another great actor recently, Mr. Val Kilmer, who had been battling with, for a while, throat cancer. I believe he went through 2 tracheotomies.
Yep.
Or whatever the procedure is actually called. But then I believe he officially died last Tuesday on due to pneumonia, if I'm correct. His daughter made a press release on that, and or one of his family members did. So we will be discussing Mr. Val Kilmer's career.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
That is a statement.
That is what's going to happen now. So we'll try to make it as exciting as possible, but it is sad.
It is. He's had a very long and industrious career.
Industrious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he was super heavy in the 90s. I mean, that was definitely his highlight era.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So why don't we kick off as we normally do and talk about our favorites?
Why did this all of a sudden turn into NPR?
Yeah. Because it's a sad day.
I still think of, before NPR, I was thinking of that SNL sketch with the 2 women on the radio. Like, hi.
That's because they were making fun of NPR.
Oh, it worked.
And also a little while back too, we didn't get a chance to do a show on it, but Mr. Gene Hackman also passed away more recently too. So we'll talk about that as well at some point. But for this one, it was so close, and we said, hey, let's, Val Kilmer Day. So it's Val Kilmer Day.
Yeah, it's Val Kilmer Day.
So go ahead, kick it off.
Well, I mean, I'll kick it off with my favorite that, I've talked about several times, but Tombstone. Mm-hmm. He will forever be the Huckleberry. I'm sure there's plenty of people that have played the character of Doc Holliday, but not a single person, in my humble opinion, has ever done the job that he did. Even Randy Quaid in that whatever movie about purgatory.
Whatever movie.
I can't remember the name.
You're talking about R.I.P.D.?
No. It's a Western movie like where they're in a town and they're in purgatory and they basically have to not do any bad deeds, otherwise they don't get to go to heaven, they go to hell. But it's literally like I can't remember the name of the town, but it's basically it's purgatory. So there's like all these outlaws in there, and like Wyatt Earp is in there with I think Billy the Kid's in there, and Randy Quaid plays Doc Holliday, which you would never think is the range of Randy Quaid.
Sounds like an interesting movie.
I mean, he can pull off crazy great.
Yes, he can.
But no, Doc Holliday in this film is with Val Kilmer is absolutely amazing. Just how he like walks around and like it's the only person that he respects and doesn't give as much shit to is Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp. I mean, they go on the rant or the ride for as they're starting to take out the cowboys after they gunned down his brother Morgan, shot his brother Virgil. They're sitting out by the creek and Doc's basically dying, with blood coming out, coughing up blood from his tuberculosis. And they're like, Doc, why are you doing this? Why aren't you in bed, like resting? He's like, Wyatt Earp is my friend. Hell, I got lots of friends. I don't. Dang.
That's true friend.
That's true friend. And the shit he gives him was when the actress comes in and he's they're out there playing they're covering the Pharaoh game at the bar, and he's so what would you do if that Dusky Hughes comes in here? It's like, what? You little actress girl. He says, well, I'd stand firm. Oh, you would? Yeah, I'd ignore her. Okay. And she comes in and he does just that. He turns around and he calls, I stand corrected, Wyatt. You are an oak. He's got so many good one-liners in there. Like when the scene where you first meet him, he's sitting there playing cards, and so that's the story behind that encounter is, as you know, Doc Holliday. I can't remember the full story around it, but it is basically an error, or he actually did that. He cut a guy from his nose or from his throat to navel.
Oh.
And so basically, like, jabbed a knife in him and then ran it all the way up for, trying to tell him he crawfish to bet and pull his money back.
Damn.
Which, in the Wild West, you could do that back then. Now that's called assault with a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
And,
That's called murder.
It's
possibly murder, yeah.
It's frowned upon.
Only slightly.
Yeah, just a little
Frowned
bit.
upon.
Just in the smallest of circles.
Yeah.
And then Sam Elliott became the sheriff.
Yep. Yep, he was his brother Virgil. And then the showdown with...
At the OK Corral.
well, that's the first one. So, but the showdown was actually with him and Johnny Tyler. He was basically the one guy that he was worried that Wyatt Earp couldn't beat in a draw, and so he goes to see him, and his opening line is, "Why, you look like somebody just walked over your grave." Oh, man. Yeah, me and my dad quote that movie constantly. In text, Christmas cards, the usual stuff.
I will say, I did watch that movie on your recommendation, and damn, it's good.
Yeah.
I couldn't, disagree with your statement of it's a very good movie. Like,
It's-
damn it, Kevin.
it's-
I've known you for 3 months, and now you're doing this shit to me.
You're giving me good shit. I hate this.
How dare you? How dare you,
How
man?
dare you give me a good recommendation?
Bastard.
Son bitch. Damn it. Did we just become best friends?
And here we are 3 years later. Almost 4.
Coming up.
What about you, Patrick?
Well, I mean, it's no surprise. It has to be Batman Forever. No, I'm just joking.
Actually, that wouldn't have surprised me.
So I want to say it's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, generally just because I love that he has one of the greatest lines in cinema history in that movie. But if you haven't seen it, it's about Robert Downey Jr., who auditions basically for a mystery movie, and he gets the role. And to prepare himself for it, they have him shadow a private detective, which is played by Val Kilmer. And then, shenanigans ensue and all that kind of fun stuff. And Robert Downey Jr., even though his role in the movie is like 2-bit crook, couldn't find his ass with a map and 2 hands. And there's this one best scene in the whole movie. They crashed Val Kilmer's car into the river with a dead body in it. And Robert Downey Jr. is like, "Oh, we got to get rid of the gun." And he throws it into the river with the car. And they're like, "Why would you do that? When they drag the car, they're going to find my gun and know it was used. Like, we are now wanted." He's like, and then he says, what would happen if you looked up the definition of idiot? And he's like, "You find a picture of me?" "No, you find the definition of idiot. And then he storms off. I don't want to say buddy cop kind of movie because they definitely do not like each other. Like, even at the end, I think Val Kilmer just says, "Stay away from me."
It was like the anti-hero.
Yeah. Val Kilmer just plays a dick, basically, and it's hilarious. So I'm, like I said, he has a very long career. I know he was in Heat, which is an amazing movie.
Yes.
He was big in the late 80s, early 90s. But, from 2006... Kiss Kiss Bang Bang has to be my go-to.
It's his go-to.
It's his go-to.
It's a good one.
And before that, it was Batman Forever. Which I will say in his defense, he did not play a bad Batman.
No.
He wasn't the worst Batman.
That was just a bad movie. That was just poor writing.
Yeah. They spent all their money on the actors.
Yeah, Val Kilmer, Uma Thurman, and Jim Carrey. No, Uma Thurman wasn't in that one.
And Tommy Lee Jones.
Yep.
Uma Thurman.
She was in the fourth one.
She was the one with George
She was the one
Clooney.
with Mr. Freeze and
She was
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, she was Poison Ivy.
Yep.
Poison Ivy. Ivy that's poisoned.
So, like we were talking about off air, I'm 90% sure I know your favorite movie, but would you like to discuss it?
Sure. Why not?
And moving on.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to see if I was right.
No, Real Genius is one of his best movies as far as comedy goes. It's I watched that movie a million times when I was younger. It's got, when you talk about one-liners from him or phrases from
Yes.
him, or even other people to him that he just kind of works off of. So there's a scene where he's going to the dean or professor, the guy he always plays the jerk. He was the jerk in Die Hard. Mm-hmm. He was the asshole reporter guy, the red-haired.
And Ghostbusters.
And Ghostbusters, yeah.
Are you telling me Dick was here?
Yeah.
Is that true? Yes, he has no dick.
And he goes over to his house because he's this prize student. You know, he's like the genius kid. And then there's a new genius kid that's coming in that kind of outdid him by a couple of points. And the whole school is based on like working on it's like an engineering school. It's a tech school, but they are focused on lasers there. Anyway, he goes over to the professor's house.
If Sheldon had came up in the 80s, this kid would have been Sheldon, but
not
much
as funny.
cooler.
Yeah, I'd actually want to hang out with Val Kilmer from Real Genius.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to hang out with Sheldon that much.
But he meets up with them, and the professor has these other people that are over his house, and one of them has a daughter, and he's like infatuated with the daughter. He just meets her. He's like, oh, and he's like, I didn't realize, he had a wife, and she's like, no, I'm his daughter, and he's like, oh, and he's like, what impressed you? So I can't remember how it comes up, and she's like, can you hammer a 12-inch nail through a board with your penis? He's like, no, not yet. And she's like, girl's got to have her standards.
Yeah.
But some of the great lines is like
because he's like showing up for an interview.
Shows up randomly.
Right. Okay.
He's going over to talk to him, and he's like, and the professor, or he was supposed to show up afterwards. He comes there early, and because the professor doesn't want to see him there with him because he basically can be a pain in the ass. But when the kid Mitch, the younger kid, shows up, the new kid, and they have the whole middle of the dorm is full of ice.
Yeah.
And then that guy, the mean kid Kent, or the dirtbag throughout the movie, he's always trying to be better than him. He's
kiss
like,
ass.
Yeah, and the kiss ass. He walks out. He's like, "What is this? Like this is ice. This is what happens when water gets too cold. This is Kent. This is what happens when you become too sexually frustrated." And he's like, no, I'm not. Well, what about the time I found you naked with the bowl of Jello? It's not true. It's true. I was hot and I was hungry. Okay. Or one of my favorites. He's got this guy throughout the movie. They have this whole shtick with the kid Mitch ends up rooming with him, Val Kilmer's character, and there's this older guy that keeps walking into the room and going into their closet, and then every time the kid opens the closet, there's nothing there. Anyway, he finally finds out that if you close the closet door behind you when you're in it, the doorway's open. Basically, this guy has created this lair downstairs. His name's Ollifeld, but Mitch is asking him about it.
He was supposed to be like he was supposed to be the first.
He cracked.
The first them, yeah. And he had like
because they have this story about this kid that was 1 point ahead of this kid, and he's like, yeah, but he cracked under the pressure. Well, this is him as he gets older.
Yep.
So he basically never left the school, and he's got all these computers, and he's computing all this stuff to enter in these sweepstakes to win. Like, he's calculated that if he enters so many times, he'll win like the 62.7% of the prize or something.
Right.
Which at the end of the movie, he does win a lot of prizes, and he's like,
he comes up in like a Camaro
Winnebago
or something.
No, Winnebago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you pull a boat.
And he's got like all these bikes and stuff, and he's like, yeah, I won like 47.2% of the prize. Like, my calculations were a little off.
Yeah.
And he's, but when he first asked him about it, he's like, have you seen the guy that goes into our closet? He's like, Ollifeld. He's like, yeah. He's like, why does he go into our closet? Well, why do you go into our closet? He's like, to get my clothes, but that's not why he goes in there. He's like, of course not, Mitch. You're twice your size. He never fit into his clothes. Like, geez, 3 points ahead of me. Thinks a guy like that can fit in his clothes.
Well, I like also like he's like become this slacker, and it's almost like his last year. So he's a senior, and he was exactly like Mitch when he got there, and he just kind of grew to hate like being on all the time. He wanted to enjoy his life. And I love he has like a tube of liquid nitrogen that he has a saw to be able to cut the exact size of a quarter, and then takes it, puts it in the vending machine. And the vending machine, because it was adjusted to size and weight, takes it, and he's got free money.
Yeah.
So then it dissipates while it's in there.
Yeah, he gets like coffee and everything. He's
Yeah.
like, and because he's looking at him, he's like, "Is that liquid nitrogen?" He's like, "Yep." And he's got the gloves on.
Yeah, he's got gloves.
He's just to do it
Just
to get
drops
coffee.
it in the machine.
But for those who don't know the premise of the movie, it is about these genius kids who go to this, tech school. Like I said, they're focused on lasers. Well,
It's like legally distinct MIT.
yeah, yeah. But they basically what they don't understand is they're going to school for this professor who's got this big project to create a certain type of laser that can create a very narrow beam with a very specific heat measure, and it's supposed to be even like hotter than the sun. They're supposed to create it. So that's what everybody's
They're
going
creating
through.
a doomsday weapon.
Well, they think
Kind
they're
of.
doing it for a graduation. Well, the professor's in bed with some
Big lasers.
contractors.
Yeah.
With
Military
contractors,
contractors.
who basically are demonstrating a way to create something that can vaporize a single human being from outer space. And Kent was working on a redirection mirror,
Right.
and because basically that is part of the process that helps out with the positioning the laser. So you can have a laser in here, but regardless of where the
You can
subject
have
is,
it. Yeah, you can have it in
tilt
outer
the mirror
space.
to spin
Yeah.
around. And
You
so
know the trajectory.
yeah. But he uses the liquid nitrogen idea to come up with the idea to get the laser that hot. Because at this point, they're using like heat and regular mechanics, and they figure out. I can't remember how he does. He gets upset because he gets kicked out because he pushes too far with the professor, and he said, "You're out." Because if he graduates, he's guaranteed this big contract job. And so he basically tells me he's flunking him and not going to graduate, and he kicks the freezer, and the liquid nitrogen falls out, and it's sitting there, and that's when he gets the idea. He creates a base model of energy, like this piece of machinery that's going to go into the laser to charge it, that's made of liquid nitrogen. So the colder you get, it's actually hotter. But anyway, they find out that it's a military thing, and then they decide to
Yeah,
get
because they're
even...
doing it like on a small scale in a lab, and they don't realize like all the work they're doing is getting shipped off, and they're creating this giant freaking laser somewhere else.
The laser
to
beams.
kill people.
The laser.
So what they do to get back
So
at
hard.
him...
Sharks with freaking laser beams on their head.
Well, his prototype, he gets done. They walk back into... They find out what he does. They're running back to the lab, and everything's gone. So then they get mad, and they figured out a way to do it is they sneak onto the site where the airplane's going to go up in the air. It's got the laser built into it. And they readjust some things, and basically they fill up the professor's house with popcorn, unpopped popcorn, and redirect the laser to shoot at his house and basically blow the house up with popcorn.
Nice.
And it's a great ending to a movie. They never really said what happened after that.
Yeah.
It just kind of, it was the 80s. They didn't need
Yeah.
a real ending. It's like,
I think the war in Kuwait started, then they
Yeah.
shipped the laser over there.
yeah.
I will say there, before we turned on the microphones, we were watching Community, and that guy that lives in the basement, there's an episode of Community in like the later seasons where they have to go downstairs to find the guy who invented the computer system for the school. And I heard like Community must have been ripping off a real genius, because that sounds almost like shot for shot.
Well, when you see the contraption that Olliefeld built, it was almost like in steam tunnels, like
Yeah.
behind the dorm. It's like when you watch the movie, it's like it's disbelief. You just believe it's going to happen, but then you really look at the architecture.
It's basically almost like a boiler room.
Yeah, the wall opens, and then he gets in this little car thing
Yeah.
that's on a track, and then it
It's
lowers.
like you're going into a mine shaft or something.
Yeah, he gets in like this little metal car thing, and it lowers like an elevator, but it doesn't really go down that far. But all of a sudden, it's like got these massive steel, ceilings to the steam tunnel. I'm like, we're from the dorm.
Yeah.
You didn't go that far underground
Right.
to get that much of room. So whatever, it's a movie, but the rest of the movie is really hilarious. I'd watch it if I were you. If you haven't seen it, if
I know
you
I've seen it at least
rewatch
once.
It's on Plex.
Yes.
A lot of things are on our Plex.
But there is a secondary funny movie that I really like, and that's called Top Secret.
That's the one that came out just before that one, right?
Somewhere around the same time frame, but that was more of a spoof comedy movie.
I know it had to do with like West and East Germany. It was a little
Yeah,
bit dated
it was
back then,
it
even
was
for
a
the
Germany
80s.
it was a Germany thing. He's like a heartthrob
Like
teen idol
musician or
singer. Yeah, he's a musician, and they hire him to help them try to get these top secret plans or something from the
Before
Germans.
David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he's like their Jesus.
Yeah.
Little did they know, in a hospital 2 miles away, the Hoff was just born.
Yeah.
Now he was doing stuff, but this movie when it came out, it's really just it's kind of like watching The Naked Gun. It's like that kind of stupid humor. There's like a scene where they're trying to sneak into a place, so the guy's dressed in this cow outfit because they're near a farm, and so there's two people, one for the front of the cow, one for the back, and they're trying to coordinate to walk, and then all of a sudden they're stopping for a minute to do something, and he's like, "What are you doing back there?" He's like, "Hang on," and then all of a sudden a baby calf comes up and starts feeding off the udders, and all of a sudden the one guy in the back's like, "Oh," it's that kind of humor. Back when you can get away with that kind of humor.
Yep.
So it's a good movie. Top Secret, recommend it. It is goofy. It's not something to be taken seriously. I think he was just at the beginning of his career, and he's like,
"It is not a triumph of cinema."
I really enjoyed it. No, I liked it, but it's basically going and watching a Naked Gun movie, or loaded
which
weapon.
they are reviving.
Yes.
With
I still
Liam
don't know.
Neeson.
I still don't know how I feel about that because I love Liam Neeson, but Leslie Nielsen will always be like that's not a movie I really don't want remade, but Leslie Nielsen, but that's the thing. I got tongue twisted talking to somebody else about that. It's like you got Leslie Nielsen, Liam Neeson. Leslie Nielsen. Say that 5 times in a row.
I know.
I was switching up the names. Next thing I know, I'm like Leslie.
It's like
Liam.
George Reeves and Christopher Reeves.
Yeah.
It just fits.
Yeah. But I mean, for the dry sense of humor, I can get it because
he could
Leslie
do deadpan
Nielsen. Yeah,
really
well,
well.
Leslie Nielsen, that's what he was able to do. But again, I don't want that movie remade. It's nothing against Liam. I just let it be.
I was on Twitter yesterday, and I keep seeing like the poster for that movie, and I was like, "Why the hell are people superimposing Liam Neeson onto Naked Gun? Don't do that." And then, oh no, that's real.
Guess what?
That's a thing that's happening.
This is a thing.
I mean, but he's probably around the same age now that Leslie Nielsen was when he did those movies. So
Yeah, he just looks a lot different.
Yeah.
Frank.
Leslie Nielsen was bald at 37. I mean, white,
White.
completely white at 37.
It's like Steve Martin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's why he started in black and white. No one can tell.
You still can tell.
But he was actually before he became a comedian, he was actually a pretty serious actor. He was known for science fiction before he got into like Naked Gun or Spy Hard and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Airplane.
Yep.
Don't call me Shirley.
Yep. Well, we obviously can't not mention one of the things that people.
Let's just wait on that one because I'll guarantee you people are yelling at their phones or something like, when
No.
are they going to talk about this goddamn movie?
You think they're really listening to us?
Yes.
We get dozens of listens every
They're
week.
outside the door.
Since speaking of The Doors, he played
That's right.
Jim Morrison.
Yeah, he did
It
play
was
Jim
actually
Morrison.
a very good movie.
Yep.
I enjoyed that movie. And here's the misconception that I was making, because I wasn't around when the Doors were around.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I didn't say anything.
You're almost 40, so.
Almost.
But
Shut up.
I always thought, because you listen to music, and obviously during that time, it was the whole psychedelic era, and marijuana, but acid and all that stuff. He did some of that stuff, but I thought he was more of a drug person than he was a drinker. But apparently, it was the alcohol. He was a massive alcoholic. That's what he died of. Died in his bathtub.
Jim
with
Morrison?
a bottle of Jack. But I always thought he was more of a drug person, and apparently that's not the case. he liked the juice.
Fun fact about the Doors.
Jim Morrison, man. Yeah.
Wesley Pipes.
What?
But he was talking about Half Baked, right? You were Jim Brewer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because he had ashes, man. Yeah, this is Jim Morrison's ashes, man.
But a fun fact about the Doors that I learned about in the first Alien movie, when you see like lasers going through all the smog and everything, they didn't have that on set, but the Doors were recording on a studio like in the same lot. So Ridley Scott went over to them and be like, "Can I borrow your lasers for a little bit?" And so the only reason why lasers are in the movie Alien is because the Doors just happen to be shooting at the same time.
Interesting.
And welcome to 50 Shades of Movie Talks.
Yes.
No chill.
Yeah. You get the chill later.
Yeah.
You got to talk about the movie now. But The Doors, it was very good. That actually had... oh, God, I'm trying to think of who all was in that now. It's had quite a few people, and I know it had Kevin Dillon, Matt Dillon's brother, who's also... Kevin Dillon played drama in the Entourage series and movie.
Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan
was in it, yes. I can't remember. There was the one guy he played...
John Densmore.
Which one's he?
John Densmore. He played the engineer.
Okay.
That guy.
Oh, yeah. But no, it had quite a few people in there. But overall, there was a really, really good movie. I believe it was Oliver Stone that directed that, if I'm correct on there. And he wanted to do, because of the time frame, he said, it's about time we do the movie about this band and stuff. And so you get to learn a lot about the Doors and who they really were and how they...
Oh, Kyle, I always butcher his last name, McLachlan. He's the guy from Twin Peaks, the FBI agent. He was in it, apparently.
There's
Screw
a lot
you,
of people
Kyle.
in it, yeah. I'm going home.
Take my ball and I'm going home.
So, yeah, if you haven't seen The Doors, again, another really good one. Highly recommend it. Watch The Doors, man.
Watch them. Don't let them hit you on the way out either.
This is the
I mean...
my only friend, the end.
Well, let's move on to a something a little less serious, but supernatural, and one that I thought was really, I guess at the time it just got hit with so many other like sci-fi-esque wizardy movies. Willow.
Oh yeah, I love Willow.
I mean, Willow itself it's definitely had a cult classic, but it never it didn't get revived until Disney finally stepped up. And was it Disney or yeah, it was
Netflix.
Disney. No, it was Disney.
Okay, I thought it was. That wasn't on Netflix though, or was it Willow? Oh, right.
No, Willow.
You're thinking of Dark Crystal.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm thinking.
Yep.
Of. Yeah.
Willow was it didn't get its series remake until 30 years later.
It didn't need one though. Willow was good the way it was.
Well, it's Carry On anthology. But so basically, you have this evil sorceress. To anyone that hasn't seen a movie from the 80s, spoiler alert, you got this evil sorceress who's trying to effectively take over what's known of the world, and this prophecy comes about this young woman or this girl who will be born, and she will have a special mark on her, and she will grow up to defeat her. Well, instead of waiting to fight that battle and see if she comes on top, she basically just steals the child, or tries to. So they bring like a bunch of pregnant women to the castle in the area. I don't think they know where she's supposed to be born, but they confiscate all these women. And
Confiscate is such a nice way of putting violent kidnapping.
I mean, I was trying to...
Again, this is the times. It was frowned upon
Yeah.
back then. It wasn't
Exactly.
wrong, just slightly.
This is medieval times.
Yeah.
You do whatever back then.
Yeah.
When you are the law and you write the laws.
Yeah.
So basically, the kid gets born in the castle, and they smuggle the child out, and it goes to I can't remember what the people were called that Willow were, not dwarves.
Yeah, they did have like a name for
Yeah.
them, though. I can't remember.
But so magic is in the world, and he's training to be a sorcerer with their village elder. And
Which everybody laughs at him because he
I
always
know.
screws stuff
Yeah,
up.
he screws everything up.
He originally starts out trying to do magic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's doing it like it's a magic show. for
Exactly, like
everybody.
like an actual magician.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fake saw someone in half.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, there's real magic in the world, and you can become a sorcerer. So he tries that too, and fails.
Well, and then he's got the one older woman that's a sorceress.
Cylindria.
Yeah, the guide to him. That he accidentally, or she turns herself into an animal or something.
No,
to
she had been
escape.
turned by the evil sorceress
Was it
and
that?
left on the island. So
Okay.
he had to get her wand and go turn her back. So she's like,
But he keeps changing her.
yeah,
right?
yeah,
He
yeah.
can never
He's
get
like,
it right.
Turns it into a rat, a bird,
Yeah.
a sheep.
Yep.
Willow.
And every time he's doing it, he always does that struggle thing.
Right,
He's got
right,
the
yeah.
wand, and it's like,
So Val Kilmer's role is he is essentially at this point a mercenary, but he's like the greatest swordsman in the land. And but when Willow finally meets him, he's strung up in a stockade, and then this army band passes him, and they won't even free him. So they end up, talking him into, or he ends up talking Willow into freeing him and giving him the child who he's carrying because he's trying to get her back to where she belongs with the larger people or humans. So he takes her and then like ends up like selling her or something like that in the next town because he's trying to pass off as a woman. He just went to go get laid basically. And then chaos ensues and they have to run. And then they meet these even smaller, like pixie-sized guys. I can't remember what they're like, half hearts or something like that.
Something like that.
Curse of 1,000 broken hearts. So yeah, they have this like pixie dust that makes whoever it hits fall in love with the person that they see. And one of the little guys gets hit, and like the first thing he sees is a cat. It's like, oh my goodness, where have you been all my life? And tries to run and hug the cat. The cat's about to eat him because he's like the size of a mouse. So Val Kilmer's character, his name is Mad Mardigan, and yeah, he's kind of like, he's one of those tired warriors who's seen some stuff, so he's basically drunk half the time, but he ends up falling in love with the sorceress's daughter, who she sends to go collect the child, and they fall in love, and all of that changes, and so then she ends up fighting her, and at the end of it, they have a big battle outside the castle gates. Yay.
The end.
The end. Oh, just before that, they all do get turned into pigs, and that's finally when Willow turns Cylindria back into her normal self.
Yeah.
That was a freaky scene, though. All of them, everyone in like armor and stuff, turning into pigs.
Yeah, because it's slow.
Yeah,
And like the one guy all of a
because they,
sudden
like,
notices
morph.
his nose, and then one guy looks at his like hoof things and his
Yeah.
hands and stuff. Yeah. And they're like,
Yeah, and then it's just a scene of like empty armor and swords laying around, and like 80 pigs crawling around in the mud.
bacon for everybody.
My butt's on fire. Why does it smell so good?
Oink, oink.
Where the pigs?
The three little piggies.
Well, there is a movie where he got to play God. Genuinely. The Prince of Egypt. He played Moses, and he's credited as voicing God as well.
That's right.
What an ego.
Oh, what an
I
ego.
think you can voice God. Only Morgan Freeman and George Burns can play God. There's only two human beings ever lived or still live on this earth. Just saying.
Hey, I'm not the casting director.
That's a good thing.
You might have shown up to the set and been like, yes, this is a movie.
Yes, yes.
Did the director read the script?
Yeah.
Oh, he's writing it as he's filming.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is an as-you-go movie.
Yeah. It's like a fill-in-the-blank, like Mad Lib. They have just a template, and they're just writing nouns and verbs. And
Yeah, you're sitting there to the casting director. All right, I need a verb, a place. Okay, guys, I got the scene.
Just take my liquid nitrogen and go to the vending machines. Get him some snacks. Playing God, man. Nobody should have to do that. I did like he did that thing in 2021. He did that documentary or autobiography documentary
Val.
called Val.
Yeah, that
about
was
all the
good.
stuff he went through. I like that.
Did either of you ever see this one, Thunderheart?
I did, but it's been a while. I think
Never
I
even
saw
heard of
once.
I don't think I've seen this one.
Oh, we can't forget to mention though.
Columbus Day.
We literally cannot forget to mention he did end up showing his face as Blunt Man in the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back reboot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because originally in the first one was Mark Hamill.
No, he was Cocknut.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But no, he comes up and they have.
This is the level of movies we're talking about with Val Kilmer.
in the
Cop
Blunt Man
Knocker
movie.
and Blunt Man.
But he like pulls up the mask and because he doesn't say anything because I believe at that time he had just gone back through another surgery, and he told Kevin Smith he would do it. That's just Val Kilmer just commits to stuff, and so that's why he doesn't speak in it, which is actually more Batman-esque than anything else,
exactly.
really. But you seeing him pull up the cowl as Blunt Man, and it's just Val Kilmer there.
That's like the scene in Deadpool 2, where the Vanisher is actually Brad Pitt.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like no one knew that until the premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just saw like a blank chair on set. Maybe the Vanisher's still alive. Nope. The wind. Maybe the wind can't blow what it can't see.
So I've never seen this movie because it generally seems frightening. So I'm wondering if you
Dilated Dr. Guerrero?
yeah, I'm wondering if you two could speak upon it.
It's a reboot, or it's a remake of the original.
It wasn't in the book first.
It might have been. Basically about just a mad scientist. I believe he's doing something genetically with people and animals.
Oh.
I can't remember. I think that's what it is. I saw the original. I never saw his version.
Oh,
of it.
okay. I just know it's scary, and I don't want to watch it.
Just watch it.
I don't want to.
Okay, you have a choice. You either watch that or Terrifier 3.
What are we talking about?
Oh, the Island of Dr. Moreau, all the way.
Oh, dude,
It's not
that's
even really
much
scary.
easier
That's not
than
even
fucking
scary,
Terrifier.
really.
I'm not watching the Terrifier.
It's just creepy than and grotesque
Oh, yeah.
because there's people there with animal parts. That's basically the premise of the movie.
Yeah, he's genetically testing
Mm-hmm.
things with people.
That's a war crime.
Now, the original movie was a little less graphic because, it was done in like 60 something, I think, or 70 something.
Technology aged a little bit to 1996.
Just
Yeah,
a hair.
you basically had like a pig nose from Party City.
Yeah,
or something.
right.
You see the rubber band, they try to cover it up with, makeup and it's all good, man. But isn't that funny though? You think that might have been one of his last on-screen things, like real on-screen, besides Maverick was as Blunt Man.
Yeah.
As Blunt Man.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what's the name? Ray Liotta. One of his last roles in
as
Cocaine,
Cocaine Bear, yeah.
in Cocaine
Oh,
Bear.
yeah, that's right. I think that was his last role because he died
found
before that
out
movie premiered.
I think I found out it wasn't.
Oh,
It was.
okay.
He did something else right after that. I just don't think it.
I think the shootings may have been around the same time.
Yeah.
But his actual official time of last movie being shot. But I think Cocaine Bear just happened to come out
Yeah.
later because they were trying to get money for it and stuff like that. But
So he also did a small part in Alexander. He was the king. Dang, I can't remember his name. He was essentially Alexander's father. So he's in it for like the first 30 minutes
yeah,
because
Philip II of
Philip
Macedon.
II. Okay. Of Macedon. Philip the One Eye. Because he had one eye.
is that why?
So it's not just a clever name, huh?
Well, and then he also had his sci-fi movie Red Planet.
Yes.
You saw that?
Yeah. That's actually a really good movie. I like that one.
Isn't it the one where they have that like dog thing, that robot
Yeah,
dog
yeah,
thing,
So
and then
it's
it's like
his,
into like attack?
it's like his pet. Well, not pet, but it was like supposed
It
to
was
be
like a mining thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it had like a military mode.
Yeah, and
when
that gets like turned
when
on.
it crashed, it got activated, and so he was like, "Well, I'm going to shut it down for diagnostics," and that's when it like turns into Skynet, becomes self-aware.
Yeah.
I did like that movie. I did in the beginning of the movie where like they crash land on Mars and like they all look at how much oxygen they have. Like, well, this is gonna suck in about an hour. And one of the guys, the doctor, and they're like, "What's this gonna feel like?" He's like, "Hypoxia? You're basically gonna pass out and then die." And then they take off their helmets and they found that the algae that they brought there like 10 years ago is actually producing oxygen.
Well,
And then
so
he has to get back up to the space station with Trinity from the Matrix. I cannot remember her actual name. That's my bad.
my favorite line of his in there, and it's probably one of my favorite lines of his all time, outside of anything from Tombstone, is he's talking that they've crash landed and they've got to get to something that I think they called like the Hab or whatever. So it was supposed to be they're supposed to have like a research facility already set up there. And they're like, all right, well, we landed here. These mountains are over here. It's just algebra. It's all about the math. And he said, this is it, gentlemen. The one day in math class, the teacher told us algebra would save our lives.
I do remember in the beginning of the movie, after they first crash land, one of the guys almost goes instantly insane. And when they realize they're going to die, he like kills one of them. He's like,
Yeah. He kills the commander.
yeah. He's like, screw you. We're all going to die anyway. And then they learn that the air is breathable. He's like, well,
My bad. All right, listen,
is
guys.
it murder if I'm on a different planet?
What happened was,
Well, Mark Watney can answer all those questions.
Yes, he
'cause,
can.
That would have been funny if he like shows up. Hey guys, you need help with math?
I've been here for 387 souls.
Got some great all ABBA, some 70s music here.
All ABBA, yeah. I want to tell you, your taste in music is god awful.
Turn the beat up. No, I'm not going to turn the beat around. I refuse to do it.
There's a movie here I've never even heard. I've heard of the show, but it's called Mind Hunters.
I don't know.
Apparently, it's 25% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't believe this is a good film. But the poster looks interesting, and that's how I wind up watching a lot of dumb shit. So,
Yeah.
I may actually.
You're a poster fooler. You fall for
You know
all the
what?
posters.
Give me a good poster and a kick-ass trailer. I'm going to watch your goddamn movie. That's what happened with Hurricane Heist. I'm still very angry about that one.
It's 500 miles. Oh my God, the inaccuracy.
You got me.
Stealing 600 million at 600 miles an hour or something like that. And I was like, no, that hurricane would remove the North America at that speed. You telling me that hurricane has sustained wind speeds of 600 miles an hour? Mm-hmm. No. That's relocating your house to Europe. That's what that's going to do. And along with the plot of land it's attached to.
Yeah, right.
It ripped up
Hawaii
the land.
is gone.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've got American houses landing in Berlin somewhere.
It is now, Hawaii is somewhere amongst the Indonesian island chain.
Yeah. It's now technically a part of Japan.
Well, there's another movie where he's kind of he starts off as like the anti-hero or the antagonist. It's the Saint.
Oh yeah.
Saint.
Heard of it,
Very
never
good
seen
movie.
it.
Oh, you would like this one.
Really?
He's essentially a thief that is trying to get to a certain level of he wants to get like 30 million or something like that so that he can retire and not have to live looking over his shoulder his whole life. So the reason they call him the Saint is that his alias is all Catholic saints.
Oh.
So when he goes around and does different jobs, he always changes his name, changes his look. He can even do different accents. And that's kind of what makes the movie so good is like you get to see a different range of Val Kilmer in here about like him having those accents. So like when you first meet him, the guys get him, he's trying to steal this microchip. And he's an Aussie. It's like,
Oh.
Good day there, mate. What are you doing over here? This side of the building's supposed to be empty, And then he has one that's like an effeminate German guy. So when he goes to meet the people that he was contracted for, that he basically double crossed, and they're trying to get him to find who he is. He's like, let me sit here. I'll talk to my employer. And he goes off and just starts talking to some random woman in a train station. It's like, the count is 200. And then he goes in and he does a really good Russian accent. Who the lead guy is Russian. He's like this mob boss. So the premise of the movie is they want him to steal the work of this scientist who is what's the girl's name from
Elizabeth Shue.
Elizabeth Shue. Yeah.
Only reason why I know this is I looked it up.
I was gonna say Karate Kid because that's the first thing I remember her from. But so she's a scientist. She's ended up inventing or cracked the formula for cold fusion. And there's the Russian guy. His name in the film is Tretiak. He's trying to lead a rebellion or a coup in Russia to take power from the Russian president and place himself as dictator, basically. He already has like support from some of the generals in the army, because in Russia, nobody has money until you have it, and then you want to go where the money is, not just keep working for pennies from the government. And so they hire him to basically steal the formula and give it to them so that they can lead the coup. Well, it kind of sort of works, but he ends up having feelings for her finally, and she tracks him. Well, he finally has feelings.
No, I know.
But she ends up actually tracking him down, and then they have to get out of Russia because they're gonna kill him and her to cover their loose ends. So that's I'll leave the rest of the movie for Patrick to
Yes,
because it's really good. But he has a scene in there where he wants to get his money, so he goes into this party and poses as the Tretiak guy, and he's got like like when you look at him, they have a scene where they're sitting side by side, and it's almost like he's looking in the mirror, and he stares at him and like moves his hand right to left and his head, and he tells him, he's like, you know what the worst thing about pretending to be you is? Being so terrible in bed. And then walks off.
Now, Tony, I see what you pulled up on your phone, and I kind of want to save that for like the end. So why don't we just quell the people that are just yelling at us? Why haven't we talked about this movie
You
yet?
quell them all day. There,
But I mean, we have to talk about his role in MacGruber.
that is not what people want.
That
to
is
know.
not, no. I
Not
thought
at
you were going to
all.
say Top Gun. Like, Jesus.
We are going to talk about Top Gun, but I saw MacGruber on the list. So I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he had a small.
I love us, the people at home. First
Yeah.
off, there was 8 people that saw that movie.
Yeah.
I was one of them.
I know.
So 7 others.
Not, and that's including the people that were in the movie.
And odds are only half of one of them
Yeah.
listens to our show.
Yeah.
Are you telling me Ryan Phillippe doesn't enjoy our lovely podcast?
No, he doesn't.
Oh.
Because he hasn't answered any of my damn letters.
Yeah. Answer your letters.
So yes, let's talk about Top Gun. And I haven't seen the sequel yet. Just I don't know. I haven't. Didn't want to. I know, Gavin, you went to the theaters. Tony,
I did.
think you went to the theaters with him.
He did.
Yeah.
What, for Maverick? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, me and Steve did.
Oh, okay.
Patty went and saw the extension of
The mythical beast, the Harry Potter movie.
yeah, the Harry Potter stuff, but it was the different versions of it. Or the Secrets of Dumbledore or something like that.
It's the one that takes place in like early Victorian.
Yeah,
London
she
instead
did.
of modern times.
Yeah, we all went to the theater together, or to the movies together, but she wanted to see that because she didn't like Scientology, and she now has rejected all the Tom Cruise stuff. So me and Steve went and saw Top Gun Maverick. Had to tell a bunch of kids or their parents next to the kids. to
Shut
stop
the
talking.
fuck up.
After about first 30 minutes of it, we're trying to listen to it. And there's kids like, and I'm like, no.
Listen here. You stay silent when Kenny Loggins comes on, Jenny. You owe this man everything. Yeah, probably not the best movie in the world for a 5-year-old to watch, but it was what I always wanted to watch. It's probably also what got me in trouble for our 3-hour-long road trip where I sat in the back in my car seat just flipping everyone the bird. No, it's all right, Mom. I'm telling them all hi. Because that's what they say in the movie. It's like, oh, we're improving relations, saying hi. The bird. I'm sorry, I hate it when it does that. Yes, I know the finger goose.
Well, he didn't want to actually. It said he didn't want to actually appear in Top Gun.
Yeah.
Originally,
Really?
It was due to contractual obligations. Is why he had to. But they said he went so far as to just show up and for the audition and short, just not looking like the part, just to try to get out of it, and it didn't work.
It's like, you're still Val Kilmer, right? Yeah, you're in the movie.
Yeah, that's probably pretty much how the conversation
I don't want to
went.
be in a movie. All right, we'll see you the next Monday, Iceman.
Yeah, be here at 8.
All right, we're counting on you, Iceman.
That's how he flies.
Yeah.
Ice cold, no mistakes. I even got my screen name for that movie.
Ooh,
Slider.
there you go.
I'm the goofy guy that doesn't shower. I know. I mean, if you if you don't like, homoerotic volleyball scenes, then what do you like?
A lot of other things.
What's
There's
wrong
a lot
with you
of
if
other
you don't
things
like
that I
that?
like.
Ready to whip them boys.
That makes it even worse.
Spalding's first movie.
Oh, God.
Oh, Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson.
Wilson.
Very early in his career.
Yeah, very early. Yeah. Did a lot of scenes with a bunch of shirtless men.
I didn't have the red face paint on at the time.
That would be a fun documentary to watch. Wilson.
Wilson.
The story of Wilson. Just have somebody voicing the ball.
Like a spoof of Castaway, but
Yeah.
it's from the ball's point of view.
Yeah. So they set me up, and I'm standing there. I'm like, "Come on, Tom, give me something."
He's giving me nothing, this guy.
I just want to let you know, just one more one-liner, but the plaque for the alternates is down in the ladies' room.
Dick.
Down there.
Patrick, you're going to have carnal knowledge of a lady this time
Oh, no.
on the premises.
Why don't you just tie both hands behind my back?
putting me in a no-win here.
Put me in a
I may
no-win.
not win, but I'll make sure you lose too.
Tranny, huh? Knew it.
All right, moving on.
You got a hand job from the tranny, didn't you? No, so you didn't find out, did we?
So you have no proof.
Yeah, you got no proof.
And you guys want to talk about Maverick a little bit? Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I really
So
can't.
Maverick's just more of the continuation of him. Val Kilmer's only in it for a little bit.
Yeah,
He
Yeah.
makes like a
towards the
quick
end.
cameo.
Oh, it's
And-
a decent size. I mean,
No,
it's probably like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
5-10 minutes worth of screen time. He basically.
Now, technically, he's kind of a big character in it because he's the admiral overseeing like this division and the operation that they're doing.
Which is, and they hint to the fact, or basically not hint, they straight out say like all those shenanigans that Maverick's still pulling off because he basically just doesn't want to do this anymore. He just wants to kind of get through
Yeah.
in this movie. So anytime he screws up, or every time he's screwed up since then, it's been him saving him because he's always watching out for him or basically overriding anybody else's like
So-
write-ups or whatever. And they're like,
So Maverick has kind of just he never wanted to get out of the cockpit. He should have been an admiral at that point in his career, but he's still a captain.
yeah.
And whereas, Val Kilmer has progressed in his career and has gotten commands and, so that's why he's over the operation. But he's basically just saved his ass every time he screwed
Yeah.
up.
Because he saved his life one time in the 80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
That's how it works in the military.
It
man.
is. It is.
But and then that's what the scene of him is. He basically is going because he's. I can't remember if he wants to get out or if they're basically booted him out at that point, like because he was screwing around so much. After near the end when he meets Val
Yeah,
Kilmer,
he did because that's when because he flew that mission solo.
yeah,
Or
that's right.
and he was getting upset because he was trying to train the kids to do the mission and come home, but the command was basically they're like, this is a mission that everyone that's doing is throwaway.
yeah, yeah, they're basically collateral damage.
Yeah.
So
They just need the operation to get done,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah,
You're just going to throw bodies at the problem.
Pretty
yeah,
much.
basically.
Yeah.
And he goes in, and Val Kilmer has to see him, or Iceman's character has to see him, and he basically tells him, Top Gun needs Maverick or something, or these
Yeah.
guys need you, and blah blah blah. And that's the big like, hey, we're good friends. Hey, buddy. They give each other a hug, and it's the moment where he realizes he's got to go back out there and do what he has to do. So,
But he still gets in one jab. He's like, "Come on, who's the better pilot, me
Yeah.
or you?" And he says that to Tom Cruise. He's like, "Let's not fight again."
Let's go settle this on the volleyball court.
Well, actually, he lost that game
Yeah.
because they were down, or they tied it up, and that's what they left it as.
although it was funny to see, Maverick's character get thrown out of that bar
Yes,
because
that
his
was
credit card wasn't running through. And so that was always fun. I mean, it had a lot of good stuff. It was a good continuation of the movie. It wasn't
Yeah.
trying to be something different.
right.
It was trying to and also pass the torch off to the next generation of people. That if they do another Top Gun, it's not with him, or maybe they'll do one with him where he's now just running the program.
Yep.
You never know, but it was a nice continuation. It wasn't anything that like some movies just try to be more or so like, hey, we got to top this. I don't think they were really trying to top it. They were just trying to pass the torch like they did with the final Bad Boys. And,
Oh,
they've
okay.
done,
Yeah, they passed it off to the son.
yeah, just kind of handing off,
And
passing of the torch.
The
here's-
son-in-law.
Yeah. Here's the new generation because the one kid that he's training or the one kid that's in the squad is Goose's son.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And there's a whole hate thing between him and that. Well, more of the kid to him because he kept him back from getting in, and he was trying to do it because he didn't feel he was ready, and he didn't want him to end up because he was a hothead, and his father, and he's like, him and his father were hotheads, both of them, and just like Goose and Maverick were, and he's like, he didn't want the same thing to happen to him. What happened to him, just by something
Right.
stupid. He just because he was more focused on just flying here. Right? If I'm right on that, because it's been a while since I've seen Maverick now, because I did watch it again after the theater, but there's something about him where he doesn't really play it safe, but he doesn't always think, or he's playing it too safe. I can't remember which one it was.
Well, no, he
but-
keeps pushing. Like he'll get to where because like he's starting out as that test pilot.
Yeah.
And they're testing an engine to get it to I don't know.
No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the son.
Oh yeah. So yeah, he goes on like that's basically what he's done is he's tried to push again. He's basically more like Maverick than he is Goose,
Yeah.
and so he's pushed so hard, trying to get. But he felt like he had to because Maverick again held him back out of the academy for like 2 years or something like that.
Because he didn't think he was going to be ready for it.
Right.
And again,
So
he was
he's
protecting
like
him.
he's so far back that he feels like he has to keep going the extra mile for whatever to get to where he should have been
2 years ago.
exactly.
Gotcha.
Yep. Well, we only got a couple minutes left,
Yep.
so is there anything final you want to talk about?
He's done so much. We could easily do 2 or 3 more episodes on his career.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll just throw up a couple of little fun facts about him then.
Yeah.
Go for it. I'm ready
So,
and waiting.
in the movie The Doors, he did his own singing.
Oh.
Val Kilmer did, while playing Jim Morrison in The Doors. The real members of the band said they had difficulty distinguishing Kilmer's voice from that of Morrison's.
Wow.
Yep.
It's impressive.
There's...
Not to take away from Val Kilmer, but that reminds me of The Replacements with Keanu Reeves. He did so well on the movie. The Ravens actually, you want to come try
They
out?
sent him, yeah.
let's see here. Turned down Patrick Swayze's role in Dirty Dancing because he didn't want to be perceived as a hunk.
Huh.
Oh. And then he does Top
And then,
Gun.
yeah. We've got a third of this movie as you shirtless.
Well, you guys brought up one. So got the role of Chris in Heat after Keanu Reeves was originally cast as Chris backed out.
Oh.
So Keanu Reeves had it originally, so he was going to be that role first.
Was that
I mean,
around the same time as The Replacements? Did he back out of Heat to go do... I don't hate that
No.
decision.
No, Heat and The Replacements are way off on
No.
timeline.
Oh, okay.
Way off on timeline.
Oh, they were both early 2000s.
No.
Tony's
He
laughing
is,
oh,
what
you
is it,
simple
90,
summer child.
Yes.
Where's he? Yeah, Heat's 95.
Oh, okay.
So this was a smart move for him. He declined to return for Batman and Robin due to his commitment with The Saint and lack of interest.
And lack of interest.
They put that in.
Well, he
in-
probably read the script and he said, oh, I have to pull out a Batman credit card and I have nipples? Yeah, I'm out.
I don't want bat nipples.
Right? I don't want to... Give it to my friend George Clooney. He'll do it.
But there's a whole bunch of these little ones, but those were some of the fun ones there for you. But I just wanted to throw a little Val trivia out there to you, but we are about out of time. So just want to say, as usual, thank you guys, as always, for taking the time to listen and celebrating Mr. Val Kilmer, R.I.P. He was only 65, so too young, but at least he went out with a lot of stuff for people to still talk about.
Yes,
so,
he did.
As always, we'll give you updates. Next week we have
A
a
special
guest
guest.
on, special guest on. And then we also will probably be updating. So we only really have 3 weeks for the film festival. I mean, 3 weeks and we'll be in the film
Yeah.
festival. So really like 2.5. So probably after next week, we'll definitely have an updated episode on what's going to be coming for that. They did post on their social media and their website, like some of the guest stars that are going to be like panelists and stuff that'll be there. Not the full list yet, so hope to get that to you soon. But yeah, it's right around the corner.
Yeah.
So
It's good
keep on
times.
listening. Yeah, and then next week should be a very fun episode for you guys.
I'm looking forward to next week.
For all of us. So we'll keep you
Absolutely.
up to date on that. And we'll see you then. But until then, for Movie Talks and Show, we are your host. I'm Tony Serrato.
I'm Gavin Butts.
I'm Patrick Wall.
All right, guys, take care.